A little over 1 year later, just a few weeks after the game's release, Elden Ring has officially made history in the gaming industry, achieving one of the most sought after accolades that a game can get, something that only 2 other games in history have ever achieved, and objectively cementing it as one of the best games of all time. And there's something very special about this as well, considering that the only 2 games Elden Ring cited as direct inspiration are the ones to also claim this title, and I think it raises a very important discussion about what makes a great video game. So as we get into all that today, you guys know we're chasing down 100k subs here on the channel, so if you want to stay up to date on all things Elden Ring and From Software, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. The future of this company is extremely bright, and you're not going to want to miss it. But now let's go ahead and dive into this. Over the past year, Elden Ring has been racking up awards left and right, dominating nearly every gaming awards show that there is. And it's not like they're winning 1 or 2 awards per show, but quickly becoming one of the most awarded games of all time. And among these award shows, there's something that stands out. There are 4 Game of the Year awards that are by far the hardest and most critical for a game to achieve in order to stand out in the entire industry. And those are as follows: the Game of the Year award at the Game Awards, Game of the Year at the Golden Joystick Awards, Game of the Year at the DICE Awards, and then Game of the Year at the Game Developers Choice Awards, all of which were claimed by Elden Ring. And those are only the 4 main ones. That's not even to mention the countless others it won. But like I mentioned before, what makes this such a big deal is that only 2 other games ever have accomplished this, those 2 being Skyrim and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, both of which are in the discussion for the best game of all time. Now, among these 4 most prestigious awards are a plethora of others that Elden Ring has accumulated over the past year, bringing it to a total of 331 awards, and still counting. Because as time goes on, Elden Ring is still winning awards at other game shows, such as winning Game of the Year at the Famitsu Awards, as well as Studio of the Year, and slightly controversially, Best Multiplayer Game at the BAFTAs.
で、またですね、このゲームユーザーさんですね、このゲームを遊んでくれて楽しんでくれて、支持してくれた全てのユーザーさんにですね、大きな感謝を伝えたいです。毎回ですね、こういう場所で同じ話になってしまうんですけれども、ユーザーさんへの感謝だけはですね、何度伝えてもあるいは強調しても足りないかなというふうに感じてますので、ここで改めて伝えさせてください。
And finally, I would like to express my utmost gratitude to the many users who have played, enjoyed, and supported this work. I'm afraid I'm talking about this same thing over and over again in an occasion like this, but I feel that no matter how many times I say it or how much I emphasize it, I can never say enough about our gratitude to our users.
Every interview with Miyazaki and his acceptance speeches upon winning these awards have always been about thanking the fans and the players and wearing an air of humility, assuring that the games that we're going to get in the future are going to be even more interesting than Elden Ring. And I think the secret of their vision, how they've been able to make the most awarded game of all time, lies in what Miyazaki said in his most recent interview upon winning the Famitsu Awards. But while there's no official translator for this speech, the main point of what he says here is that their team follows one policy when making these games, and that is that they make what they want to make because it's interesting. And as a fan, it's awesome to see that level of passion and integrity that's so rare nowadays. A studio like From Software that focuses only on making games out of passion that they know their fans are going to love. But what is it about these 3 games that can claim this title of winning all of the most prestigious awards that sets them apart from everything else that's tried and come close? Let's see what they have in common. Now, most glaringly and unironically, all 3 of these games, Elden Ring, Skyrim, and Breath of the Wild, are open world medieval fantasies. And one could argue that that's just a coincidence, but I think it does absolutely point to something bigger about why so many players were drawn to these games. So we need to ask, at the core, what do players really want out of a video game? There's a lot of answers to that. Firstly, I think fun is a major factor. I don't think it's a stretch by any means to say that all 3 of these games are fun to play, although that can sometimes be subjective. Perhaps it's a feeling of competition or overcoming a hard obstacle, but that's not really something video games offer over any other medium. It could be the feeling of immersion or getting whisked away into another world, which is very much one of the strongest points of all 3 of these games. But again, that's not something exclusive to video games. I think it lies somewhere in a combination of all of these. But I think for me to properly properly articulate this, I need to tell you my experience with Skyrim for the first time, because to me, that's when I experienced this magic that ties these three games together, and the secret of what makes a perfect video game experience. When I played Skyrim for the first time, and emerged from the cave after the tutorial, I was immediately hit with a realization of how big this game was going to be. I could see the vast mountain ranges over the horizon, I could see the city of Riverwood down in the valley, and I had animals running over the trails in front of me, and guards patrolling the highways, giving the world a unique and immediate sense of life. And what that did was give me a kick of nearly unbreakable immersion right off the bat. I was now free to roam this entire world and start off on an adventure that I had complete control over. There were mysteries around every corner, and every time I veered off the standard path, I was rewarded for my exploration. And that feeling of adventure did not let up for years. I played Skyrim for almost 4 years before I ever beat the main quest, and it was because I was completely engrossed in that sense of adventure that I didn't care about beating the game. There were times when I was challenged, but it only amplified the feeling of wonder of what was going to be behind that challenge. But to put it into something quantifiable, it was a feeling that this was an adventure for me, the player, rather than the character. I can't really say much about Breath of the Wild because I never played the game, but I am very familiar with the culture around it and understand the impact that this series has had. Another similarity that all these games share is a silent protagonist. And while the protagonist is its own character, whether it be the Dragonborn, Link, or the Tarnished, keeping your character silent allows you to self-insert to a degree, and once again create an adventure that's for you, the player, rather than the character. And this is absolutely the feeling I got from Elden Ring. Emerging into Limgrave for the first time, and seeing the Erd Tree towering over all of the landscape, awakened that same sense of adventure and wonder that Skyrim did when I played it for the first time. And like Skyrim 2, that almost never ended. There was simply so much substance to this game, that every time I thought I was about to get to the end, the map kept unraveling in ways that I didn't even think were possible. But the thing about Elden Ring is that it combines all of those aspects that I talked about earlier. It's an adventure through and through. And I think the fact that these three games are the only ones to ever achieve this accolade shows that that feeling of adventure, an adventure in which you are in control and that is unique to you, is something that only a great video game can offer. And these three games that currently stand at the top execute on that in a way that only comes around once in a generation, and in a way that is not easily forgotten. But the really awesome part about this is that 2 of these historic games have more on the way. We've got Elden Ring DLC and Tears of the Kingdom coming out in the near future. As for Elder Scrolls 6, that's probably still a long ways off, but it is coming nonetheless. The fact of the matter is that these great adventures are going to continue, and we as players have a lot to look forward to. Either way though guys, that's gonna pretty much do it for the video today. I hope you enjoyed. I just wanted to come on here and talk about how cool this achievement is. It makes me really happy that FromSoftware has risen to this height and are only going to continue to go further. But I want to leave you with this question. What do you think makes a great game? I look forward to seeing your responses down in the comments. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe if you're new around here. And with all that, I will catch you in the next one.
すごく大変で問題の多いプロジェクトだったので、ディレクターとしてはすごくホッとしています。そしてですね、このゲームオブザイヤーという、最高の栄をいただいた場でいうことではないのかもしれませんけれども、これからも今よりもこのゲームよりもですね、面白いゲームを作っていこうと決意してますので、ぜひよろしくお願いします。
We have faced so many difficulties while developing this game, so as a director, I'm really relieved. And this might not be the light thing to say at the on the occasion of the receiving the GOTY award, but I have made up my mind to create even more interesting games than this one.